So this plant right here is Mexican sunflower. Latin name is Tithonia Diversifolia, and it's known here in Costa Rica as baton de oro. It's a really quick growing perennial bush that I use for all sorts of things. So today's video is about all the different uses and why it's such an important and helpful plant to have growing on any farm in the tropics. So here we have our swales, and I planted Mexican sunflower all along the backside of the berm, mainly for this reason, using it as a chop and drop. So I have it growing here, and something that's really nice about Mexican sunflower is it responds super well to being cut back. So you can cut it all the way down, use all the plant material as mulch, and it grows so quickly that in a month or two, it'll look like this again. So just to demonstrate that, you can use different tools, but even a machete, you can just chop it. It chops really easily, lay it right down on the soil that you want to use to cover it. So I've been going down these swales and chopping all of this back because we're entering the dry season and we want to shade the soil as much as possible. And I know that these will just grow right back even in the dry season. It's super easy to plant, that's why we use it so much. So basically these long stems that it has, you can plant as cuttings. So remove some of the leaves, remember which way is up, and it's as simple as sticking it a few nodes down into the soil. This might take, it might not, because it's dry season and there's not a lot of water, but in the rainy season, this is how we planted all of them, and nearly all of them took. So along the theme of the chop and drop, this is a little herb garden area we have. We have this peppermint bush and this oregano, a ground cover of goticola and some rosa de jamaica, and we want to just keep these things happy and keep the soil covered. So as you can see, we've weeded around these plants, and now the Mexican sunflower that we planted on the back side of the garden will just be the mulch for these plants. So we'll just chop it and throw it right on the ground, and that'll cover the soil, keep it shaded, keep it moist, keep the microorganisms and bacteria in the soil happy during the dry season. And once again, because this Mexican sunflower grows so prolifically, so fast, we don't worry about chopping it. We just chop it knowing it'll come back and be this tall again in a couple months, even in the dry season. So we chop it, lay it right on the ground, and that's it. Keep doing that. So another great thing about this quick growing plant is that you can use it in different ways. So you can use it as a chop and drop and keep it low and let it grow back, or you can let it stay high for different reasons. Here in Guanacaste, we get really strong winds in the dry season, and it's already super dry, and then the winds dry everything out more, and they blow over plants with less strong root systems like these bananas. So we've had a couple fall in the wind. So what I'm doing with this Mexican sunflower is just allowing it to grow, give a little bit of shade to the banana in the dry season, and also block the winds that come down through this kind of channel downhill on our property. So I'm leaving this high, but cut the top of it just so it allows these banana leaves to come through and photosynthesize, but really just using these right now as protection for the bananas. So they're super beneficial to other plants in terms of shading the soil, mulching for other plants, and wind protection and shade. So a very versatile plant, super easy to propagate. It's interesting, this is the first plant of this Tithonia that I had on this property. I brought a bunch of cuttings up from the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, a very different climate, and almost none of them took. Maybe it was because they had been transported for over a day, and you know, it's better when you get it right in the ground after cutting, but almost none of them took. This one did. You can actually see it's older because it has like much smaller leaves, which maybe is because it's been cut back so many times, but this plant grew. And so from this plant, I was able to take cuttings, and the genetics of this plant maybe were more acclimated at that point for this climate. And once I took cuttings from here and planted them, then they began to grow everywhere. And now all these plants that I have, I can take cuttings from and stick in the ground. So that could be the process. If you get your hands on this plant, the first few cuttings might not take, but if one does, then you have basically endless cuttings, because once you propagate them, they're totally regenerative. They'll provide you with many, many more cuttings than you could ever use, and it's as simple as sticking it in the ground to plant. So a super easy, super hardy, super versatile plant that you should have on any farm in the tropics, in my opinion.